Let's talk about that first round for the AFC North in general. So, yeah. Let's talk about the pick that I really am upset about. And that, of course, is the Ravens got Starks. And I have been very much praising this man over the last period of time because I think he's going to be a great safety in the NFL. Did not have the greatest 2024, but definitely had an amazing 2023. And I think that's really what you majorly go off of. He had a decent 2024, but 2023 was his year that he took off. And when you pair him in that Ravens secondary with Kyle Hamilton, it's going to be a really good secondary. Now, obviously, we have the receivers to match that very well. We have the receivers to destroy their secondary. They do have Nate Wiggins, they first round pick from last year. Then, obviously, they have Marlon Humphreys. And then, of course, their two safeties. They also brought back Kadarius Washington. So, I think overall-wise, the Ravens got the best pick out of the whole AFC North because they got Starks, and I think he's going to be an amazing player. Number 2, Mason Graham. Listen, Mason Graham's he's an absolute animal. You pair him on the other side of Myles Garrett, and you're talking about a recipe for a disaster. We're really gonna have to work on our offensive guards, and that's the understatement of the world. They now have two really amazing defensive linemen right between those two alone. And they also have other guys on the defense that's really good. And they have a great defense coordinator. So protecting Joe Burrow has always been a must. That's not even, question. But now it's even more because the rest of the AFC North, again, is getting better. And now the Brownies have a great defensive line. Even if they have no offense and no quarterback and they don't know what the heck they're doing next year, they at least got that defensive line, and it's going to come after our guy a bazillion times. And here's what I'll say about the Brownies. I think the Brownies did a really good job in this draft. They could have took Travis Hunter at pick 2. Instead, they trade back. They get an additional first-round pick next year. They get an additional second-round pick. And they're able to really capitalize off of the Jacksonville Jaguars' really desperate attempt to get Travis Hunter. They end up getting a really good, arguably the second best edge rusher in the draft, or defensive lineman in the draft, in Mason Graham. He was ranked 5th, big board. So they end up getting a really great player. And I think overall wise, I'm biased, and I'm going to say the Ravens won the draft because of Starks, because I think Starks is the best in my opinion. When it comes to, I think, for the best, he's the best pick for the situation that the team took him in. If that makes sense. So, like, the Ravens need a safety. They need a safety to pair with Kyle Hamilton. That's a spot where if they didn't have a safety, they would be in a very bad spot. The Brownies still had Myles Garrett, and they still have some other guys on their defensive line that are great. Mason Graham just completes the package, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Overall wise, am I saying that Starks is a better player than Mason Graham? No, I don't think he's a better player. What I think is the situation of where they got drafted, Starks is the best pick given the situation he's in. Okay, so like, for example, the Titans, if we're talking about the AFC South here, the Titans had the best pick because they need a franchise quarterback, and they took a franchise quarterback. I think Travis Hunter is the best pick to take, period. When it comes to player, he's the best player to take. But I think Cam Ward is the best pick because of franchise quarterback, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. I'm talking about pick, not prospectively the player who you did pick. Mason Graham, though, would be number 2. And then Derrick Harmon, number 3, I think. Again, someone we talked about many times for the Bengals. I know Joe Goodberry said he thought we were going to draft Derrick Harmon. And a really good all-around defensive lineman. He had one notable year of production, but showcased a player with a high football IQ, consistent competitiveness, and NFL quickness. he can be an effective 3 technique defensive lineman for an even front, which, working on the defensive line. And then we have our pick, and I would probably rank our pick last. Our pick is a project. Our pick is a guy in Shamar Stewart who, is going to compete with Joseph Asai and Cam Sample in that defensive line to pair with Trey Hendrickson. He's a good run stuffer. Definitely has not put up that many crazy stuff in college production-wise. But it is what it is, And I think given the circumstances, we definitely needed an edge rusher. But we needed someone who could productively get after the quarterback that we know to produce well in college. This is not the guy I would say who produced amazing in college, amazing numbers, obviously, because given, again, his stats, he didn't do too fantastic. But still, it is what it is when it comes to this is the best player that they thought was available. I think my big boy I'm going to put up here spells a lot of volume to my opinion on if I thought he was the best player available at the time of our pick. Okay, so now you understand where I'm at when it comes to who I think would have been a better pick, but it is what it is. So with that being said, Shamar Stewart, though, project player, we'll see how he develops. We'll see how he does. But he does have a high motor. He's definitely explosive off the ball, and we're hoping that translates well into the NFL. Across the board, I would give us 4th.